Boy, guys, one of the things that I don't know how it slipped my mind, I don't think I've ever made a video about this. I have made a video about safety and feeling safe in your relationship, but I got to see this particular situation acted out in my office, and it reminded me of the importance, and that's why I'm jumping on this video now. What happens is in long-term relationships, you're establishing all the trust, all the safety, all the feelings of protection. And when you don't feel protected by your partner, there is a big fallout in your relationship. And the reason is because feeling protected by your partner, feeling like they have your back, is an important, foundational aspect to a long-term relationship. We think of it as, oh, sure, they have my back, sort of. If somebody talked about me, they might say something, but they'd stick up for me. But let me tell you, when you're with someone for a long time and your relationship has trust and the two of you have been through a lot of ups and downs, it is foundational that the two of you protect each other. Because when a partner doesn't feel safe that their partner will protect them in front of the in-laws or other people who may say things or tease them, let me tell you, that is a big cause for concern. So what it means to feel unprotected, I want to go into that first so that you understand the depth of this. For example, a partner may stay silent when you're criticized by others. This happens all the time at these family reunions. Or, they might interpret it as the person that doesn't stick up for them, well, they were just teasing them. But let me tell you, teasing that embarrasses your partner is not teasing. That's being mean. And if you're their partner and you know that they're sensitive about this, or even if you see the cue, the look on their face, and you can see they're unhappy with what's being said, you better jump in and protect them, or say something worthwhile about them, a praise note, or tell the person who's talking to stop it, that you don't want to hear that anymore, that it's hurting your spouse, or however you decide to say it. Another idea is they minimize your distress or appear emotionally absent when you're struggling. So for example, if you were getting teased and you did show them your face, or they could see that you were hurt and they did nothing, that is a deep wound, and it takes a long time to get over this too. They avoid difficult conversations to keep peace. So when you do tell them, listen, that really hurt my feelings, and I think you should talk to your mom or dad or whoever said it, the partner won't, because they're like, I don't want to get into it. They'll defend whoever said the negative thing rather than taking their partner's side of it and telling their partner, I'm so sorry, my family has a history of this, or whatever it is, you must be hurt. I'm so sorry. It won't happen again. I will put a boundary in there. I promise you. And I will talk to them. Your partner needs to hear that, to understand that you have their back. They allow boundaries to be crossed by family and friends. For example, if you said, listen, you can bring your friends over tonight, or we can have them over, but we have to together tell them 10 o'clock is when it's over, and you have to set that. If you stay there and start acting like one of the guests and you don't defend that rule, then you are for sure throwing your partner under the bus, because the two of you had a united front. You had a boundary, and you need to back up your end. So let's talk about how these interactions affect the relationship. What is it actually doing to the relationship? Because I think a lot of times we don't do what we should do, and then we defend our actions rather than saying, wow, I got to make a change because this really hurt my partner and it's not good for us. The first thing is your partner is going to have hypervigilance because they're not going to trust you anymore to protect them. And they will probably emotionally withdraw. They're going to stop telling you things. They're going to start shutting down because they don't want for you to somehow tell somebody something that they said that's going to embarrass them. If they can't trust you with little information, if they can't trust you to have their back when their family or friends are saying stuff, how can they possibly trust you with information that may later be used against them? There's an erosion of trust. When I counsel these relationships, they don't trust each other. They're checking up on each other. And especially the person who doesn't feel protected, they will never fully give their vulnerability to the partner because they don't think they deserve it. And in my eyes, they don't. If you can't stick up for your partner, then, how are you going to stick up for your relationship? How is the relationship going to make it if you're too weak to defend your partner's honor? If something negative is said or someone is teasing them in a hurtful way, there's chronic resentment. When we talk about resentment, we talk about someone who has never felt valued enough by their partner, that their partner was strong enough to defend them. That not only makes them resentful, but in their eyes, you begin looking very weak, very mousy, very passive, that you can't stand up and defend them. And there's also disconnection. You won't have a great sex connection or a great emotional intimacy if your partner can't trust you to have their back. And that's the bottom line. And that's why it's so important that you stand up for them. So what kind of people are so weak that they are passive about defending your honor? Well, there are people that don't like conflict. They really have an avoidance issue. They fear confrontation. They may have unresolved attachment wounds that make it, they're emotionally immature. They're so afraid of being liked that they can't go up against the crowd. They are not people who can stand alone on the right thing. They're people who need constant validation. They default to old patterns learned. Sometimes couples come from very unhealthy families, and they feel like they have to honor this toxic parent or sibling, because if they don't, they'll lose their respect with a family member. Make sure when you are ready to get married that you understand your primary respect now goes to your spouse. It's about you creating a respectful, healthy relationship. That means you're aware of times that your family says something cruel or makes fun or teases your partner, and you know that's hurtful, and you're able to call it and say, please don't do that. I think that's disrespectful of my partner. My partner is awesome. And have things that you can list for your partner that are their accolades. What are they good at? So you can remind your family, respect this person. This person is my husband or wife. And how do you repair a situation like this? Well, counseling really helps. Like I said, I was counseling a couple who had this issue, and that's what made me think about it, to talk about it today. So counseling is definitely a part of it, but if you can't afford therapy right now, or you're just wondering what you can do as a temporary clause, you need to name what you felt. You need to say what happened clearly and how it made you feel. And secondly, you need to clarify what behavior you wanted from your partner and what behavior you want to see in the future. Then you have to consider if you have done this to your partner too, and that you guys got to talk about this, because it should be both ways. Both people should feel protected by the other one, that the other partner has their back. And lastly, track your changes. When you see your partner putting effort to stand up for you, to defend your honor, to protect you, tell them, hey, I really appreciate that. That makes me feel so loved by you, and I have so much more respect for your bravery, because I know this is difficult. If this video is helpful for you, please subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much.